everybody, welcome back. This is some Am I the A-hole sister wedding drama that honestly pissed me off. I have an itch to right now. Anybody else? All rise for the honorable Judge Charlotte. Would I be the a-hole for never speaking to my sister-in-law again after what she did at my daughter's wedding? Order in the court, we shall wait to hear the contacts before we make a decision. My beautiful daughter got married last weekend and I could not have been prouder. We unexpectedly lost her dad and my beloved husband over 5 years ago and always knew that her wedding day was gonna be a tough one. Ooh, that is tough. I'm sorry to hear that. My late husband has a sister who has always struggled to control herself emotionally, and particularly when it involves grief and loss, has been known to cause scenes. Think trying to throw yourself in the hole on top of the coffin type scenes. Did she do that at the funeral? Or just like metaphorically, are we talking about that? In the past 5+ years, I've gone out of my way to support this sister both emotionally and financially, not only because we are close, but because that's what my late husband would have done. For about the last 6 months, I've been in regular contact with her, reiterating that the wedding day is going to be hard enough without her added drama llama emotions. We love a drama llama, but not when it's our drama llama, you know? Other people's drama llama we're okay with, but not when it's galloping through our lives, you know? I make it very clear that the bride had included many personal and thoughtful touches into the day to remember her dad. E.g., she'd asked all her uncles and significant men in her life, including the groom, to wear one of his ties. Oh, that is so thoughtful, bestie. And that we above anyone were well aware of his absence on such a day. I asked sister-in-law to please just be respectful and honor the bride's wishes to not make a scene. The fact that you even have to have that disclaimer, and let me guess, even the disclaimer didn't stop her. Wedding day arrives and it was an emotional day. Honestly, weddings that involve, well, they don't involve a death, but whenever there's like a notable absence because someone who would have been there has passed away, it is just waterworks. Nobody makes a scene, but there do be crying. I went to a wedding once where the bride's brother, had passed away. Obviously no one made a scene, but everybody was crying. Like, it was very, very sad and beautiful at the same time, because they did pay homage to him. I didn't know him personally, and it made me feel closer to the family because they chose to make him such a big part of the day, but it was very sad. My maid of honor surprised my daughter with a small, tasteful medallion with late husband's picture on it, which we tied to her bouquet with many tears. We had lots of talks about how proud he would have been and how much he would have looked forward to seeing his baby grown up and happy, and how he would be with us even if we couldn't see him. Oh God. Getting choked up over here. I'm just a little choked up. As my baby and I stood at the end of the aisle before I walked her down, she took my hand and said, "We will not cry. Daddy would want us to be happy." And so we began our procession down the aisle toward her beautiful groom. Halfway down the aisle, we were confronted with a roadblock. My sister-in-law had reached out into the aisle holding a large frame photo montage, pictures of my late husband, including his funeral booklet. Oh, why are we doing that? Seems a little unnecessary. It threw us both completely and I was livid. I mean, very clearly you had plenty of things playing homage to him in the wedding. So she blocked you from walking down with this booklet. Oh, you're happy? Remember this. Oh God, I hate it when people do that. It's like they can't stand to see people happy. They need to remind them that, oh, there's just another way of getting on your parade. We rain on parades. We don't, but it's a better image. Luckily, my love for my daughter and late husband was stronger than my anger, and we sidestepped and continued on as planned. I have since been told many people didn't even realize that there was a problem. After the ceremony, sister-in-law came up to talk to me. I discreetly but firmly told her she was way out of line and I was disgusted in her stunt. What is the point of that? Like, very clearly only you and your daughter could have seen that, and maybe people who were around you, but like, why do that? I spent the rest of the evening actively avoiding her and enjoying the moment despite this. She approached me again at the end of the night and I again told her in no uncertain terms what I thought of her pick-me actions. With a few champagnes under my belt, I was definitely less measured than my earlier interaction. Ooh, champagne do be the truth serum. I ended it by saying I had clearly and repeatedly explained my expectations and she had deliberately ignored those for her own wants. So here's where I may be the a-hole.
Just a small one.
I was going to message her and explain how much her actions upset the bride and me and how little respect she showed us. I was also going to tell her how much my late husband would have hated what she did and how much she upset his baby on her wedding day. But then I thought, why should I waste any more oxygen on this person? She didn't listen to what I said the first, second, third, 15th time I explained it to her, so why should I now need to explain it again retrospectively? My gut feeling is to now just ghost her, cut off all financial and emotional support. I'm torn. Do I try and discuss this with her, or do I cut and run? I mean, it is interesting, not only emotionally but financially support her, and she still decided to cross a boundary on a day where you really can't take it back. You deliberately went against the wishes of someone who asked you to just chill out. I would like to say that I would be the bigger person in this scenario, but I probably wouldn't. Never again is a long time. I realize stonewalling, it is a very hurtful way to go about things. Generally, I try to communicate in most situations how I feel, but if you've already communicated your expectations and she deliberately ignored those expectations and went against what you said, I would say a dash of silent treatment is in fact in order. And most certainly, cutting off financial support is also in order.
You get what you get, and you don't get upset.
Edit. For all those asking, I definitely do not fully financially support my sister-in-law. Okay. Important context. She can and always has been able to afford the basics. We just always picked up some of the extras, and I continued to do it after my husband died. You did that out of the goodness of your heart. You are under no obligation to keep financially supporting her. Examples include me covering her accommodation costs for the past weekend or us buying her daughter's laptops for school. I've read every comment and decided to just leave it as it ended on Saturday. I will not contact her, not the a-hole. If you confront her, it will only give her more drama ammunition. Personally, I would just distance myself further and further away from her. Yeah, I think a good little dose, a good little dash of silent treatment. I think you both need some space right now, honestly. And maybe in the future, if she tries to apologize, you can discuss it then, but you're very clearly too upset by what happened. I'm so glad she didn't make any further scenes than that. Could have been worse, but I think not speaking to each other would probably be good for both of you. Cut and run. Snip, snip, snip. Not the a-hole. Hey, I get it. Some people are really hard to understand grief and have difficulty dealing with emotions, but that doesn't grant them eternal hold over our own emotions. Yes, so that's another factor in here. Obviously, this day was probably pretty hard for the sister-in-law. I can understand that. I do understand, and sometimes grief makes people do weird things. However, as we always say on this channel, have some decorum. For the love of God, keep it together. If the people whose own father and husband could keep it together to ensure that this day was special, everybody else can just cool it. She was definitely trying to hijack the moment. She was trying to steal the thunder from you and your daughter, so go low contact, cut the money, and give yourself some time from all the nonsense. You slept with that man for years. You shared a life, dreams, and goals. You know him better than she does, so don't let her take away your right to grieve as you need to and take away your chance of a new life. Oh, interesting context here from OP. Thank you, and yes, I definitely did know him better. He left home at 18. She knew him mostly as a child. I knew the adult he had become. Grief is not a competition, but interesting that she didn't know him as well and didn't have as good of a relationship with him, and she still tried to somewhat put a damper on the day. Just cut her off. It wasn't an accident. She could have shared that montage before or after the ceremony, not in the middle. Yeah, I totally agree. Maybe she could have come to you and been like, hey, you know, I'd love to do some sort of tribute to him. I don't want to take away from your day, but, you know, I'd love to say some words or something like that. Maybe you would have been more open to the idea, but imagine you're walking down the aisle. You're trying to keep it together. Your mom's next to you and your father's notably absent, and the only thing that's keeping you going is just straight line. And that straight line is then obstructed by a bunch of photos of the person that you lost. Time and a place, babes.
Act more like an adult.
I have read every comment and decided to just leave it as it ended on Saturday. I will not contact her nor reply to her messages. We live quite a distance, 8 hours plus drive from each other, and my in-laws have long passed, so I have very few occasions where I would need to interact with her again. I've messaged my nieces and told them I love them and will always be there for them, but do not hold them at all responsible for what happened. Both told me they tried to talk her out of it, but she's so stubborn they had no chance. Thank you for all your support and confirmation that I'm not overreacting with this. Sometimes we all need the opinion of friendly strangers to let us know if we're the ones who are crazy. Yes, sometimes I have crazy emotions, and it's good to have people around you to say, you're being nuts. Or not being nuts. I am pleased to report that in this situation, it's obviously not me that's the problem. All right, we have an update. A text message exchange. So it was eating me up, and I sent her a message. Oh, goody. And no, neither of my nieces have responded to my messages from earlier in the week. I've said my bit, and now I feel I can move forward and find peace with the situation. I've given myself some time to think about what I wanted to say to you and to calm down after your stunt on Saturday, but I am still furious. After the many months of me ringing you and asking, begging multiple times for you to not make a scene, you still went ahead and did exactly as you wanted without any consideration for my daughter's or my requests. To quote, she packed up her whole frickin' shrine to bring to my wedding. What you did was completely selfish and self-absorbed. You thought only about your own wants and didn't consider us at all, as if the day wasn't hard enough for us already. You don't and will never know the amount of tears shed that day by my daughter and I because he couldn't be with us. I knew that walking my baby down the aisle was going to be one of the hardest things I ever did because it should never have been me doing that. As we turned into the garden, squeezed my hand and said, we won't cry, Daddy would want us to be happy, and yet halfway down the hardest walk of my life, you thought it fit to shove your framed picture montage into the path blocking our way, as if we weren't already aware my husband and daughter's father wasn't there. Your actions were vile and all about drawing attention to yourself. We honored him in many small and big ways on that day, and you had absolutely no right to impose your actions onto us. You were a guest and should have acted like one. My late husband would have been disgusted with your behavior, and we are too. You crossed a line with me from which there is no return. You made my baby's day even harder and were only the blemish on what was otherwise a beautiful day. My daughter is an adult and can make her own decisions, but I feel you have a lot of making up to do if you want to maintain a relationship with her. I hate that you married her special day with your own selfishness. I hate that you made her day and mine so much harder. I especially hate that you thought it appropriate to bring a funeral booklet to a wedding. Whew. This is spicy. After all, my daughter has endured. She deserved a perfect day, as much as it could be without him there. And you solely, with your own selfish behavior, ruined that. I hope you feel some sort of genuine remorse, but I doubt you do. You are so wrapped up in yourself, you can't stop to consider the needs of others. You need help. Please continue to see medical health professionals to deal with your issues so you don't ruin any more relationships. Listen, you're not wrong in how you feel, and if you needed to express that to feel better, it is what it is, bestie. In her eyes, you might have been the a-hole. In her eyes, she might have been trying to do something she felt was the right thing. But that's the thing, is like she could justify it in a million ways. It doesn't make it right. Having read your original post, I think you were most polite and succinct in this response. Thank you. I just couldn't let it go, and I needed to say something for my own ability to move forward. I definitely moderated what I really wanted to say, though. I'm Australian. The C word is in high rotation around here and very fitting. I would let the C word drop again. Remember that video like a little while ago where a couple of C-bombs were left in? I wasn't mad about it. Honestly, there's something very comforting about being able to use that word. I miss being able to swear on YouTube. So are you the a-hole? You might be an a-hole in someone else's story, but as long as you're okay with that, you're not the a-hole in mine. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share a wedding day with my sister? I already kind of know how I feel about this, but she's a lazy turkey today, guys. I, 27 female, have wanted to be married to my fiance, 28 male, for years, and we finally started planning our big day. However, my sister, 25 female, suddenly announced plans for her own wedding on this very same day. I thought you were gonna say joint wedding. Like this is like, okay, so she rented another venue and made people choose between them? Oh, that's cold. That's, dare I say,
I couldn't!
I was shocked and hurt, especially since she never showed any interest in marrying her partner before. I told her it's wrong for her to try and share the spotlight, but she insisted it's a coincidence and she didn't know. My fiance and I have been together for 5 years and it was always clear that a big wedding was my dream. I planned every detail from the venue to the dress, making sure it's perfect. My sister's sudden plan made me feel like she's trying to overshadow me on my special day. Everyone keeps suggesting we merge the weddings. No, excuse me, absolutely not. Get the fuck out of here. Everyone being who?
I'm just doing it together!
No! But I can't stand the idea of sharing the spotlight. Listen, it's totally fine to want it to be your day. I know everybody thinks that I'm like, make my day. Literally, it is your day. You don't have to share the attention with anyone. We gotta be reasonable about the attention, okay? Sometimes there are circumstances in which the attention won't be on us and that's okay. But this, I feel like, is a little unnecessary. I tried to talk it out with her, but she dismissed my feelings and says I'm being selfish. So wait, you sent her like a wedding invitation with like the date and stuff on it, and she just going with,
Oh, I didn't know.
I just want one day. That's all about me and my partner. My sister has always been the golden child. Everything has always come easily to her. She has no idea how much planning goes into a wedding, and suddenly she's claiming to have everything arranged for the same day. I feel like she's trying to take away my moment, that one day I've been dreaming about for so long. Am I the a-hole for wanting this to be my own special day? Shouldn't a sister respect my feelings and find her own date for her wedding? She should. Especially if you picked it first. Like, I don't think that she would have gone into all that planning. Like, it does take literal months and months and months, sometimes years to plan a wedding. I highly doubt that she just like announced the date on the whim and now suddenly has everything planned. She's using that as an excuse to not change it so that you change your wedding day. But you know what you should do? You should go ahead with your day and make people choose. And everybody who doesn't come, you know where they stand. Update 1. Yes, I've made all the arrangements for my wedding day, including booking vendors and caterers and my actual venue. I even talked to her husband, who's completely in the dark about my sister's plans. She's doing it to steal your thunder for sure. I put down significant non-refundable deposits. Yes, that is something that you do. Can't change that. Once you give the deposit, even if somebody dies, you know, like sometimes people will take pity on you, but most won't because there's people who lie. Changing the date now would cost me a fortune. Despite this, my sister insists we share the wedding day, dismissing all effort and money I've invested in making it my dream wedding. She keeps saying we can merge the weddings and have one big celebration. No, I'm good. No, 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 no. Make people choose. You should do a nice little public post where you explain the situation and say, I'm not changing it. If you choose to go to this other wedding, that is up to you. I trust that the RSVPs that you've already sent over are still good. No hard feelings, but hard feelings if you choose to go to her wedding instead. Realistically, it would just be your family who choose the other wedding. If they can't see that this is wrong, not a loss, in my opinion. I refuse to compromise my vision for her sudden urge to get married. The thought of sharing my special day with her, having to split attention and resources feels like a nightmare. She will make it a nightmare. She's already made it a nightmare and hasn't even happened yet. She claims it's a coincidence that she picked the same date, but I can't help but notice how convenient it is for her to piggyback off all my planning. Her nonchalance over my hard work and investments is infuriating. Why does she need to do this on my day? My parents keep trying to reason with me, saying it would be practical and efficient to have the siblings' wedding on the same day. For who? For you? No. Do you want to know how long it took to actually find a wedding date? We literally had to consider so many things. It's like, you know, we're getting married in a month where there's a ton of birthdays, okay? My birthday, my dad's birthday. We're getting married where there's in-laws who also share a wedding date in the same month. There's multiple things to consider. There's events that we like going to that will now have to be shared with my anniversary. You have to consider, do I want this anniversary date for the rest of my life? We went back and forth for maybe 3 weeks on the wedding date, considering every possible option, considering weather, considering not wanting to take things away from people's birthdays, tons of things. It took us a really long time to find a date. The fact that your sister didn't even consider looking into any of this, didn't think like, oh, my sister's getting married, like, let me just make sure that it's not on the same day. Buddy, that's so inconsiderate. And her fault, by the way. My parents keep pointing out the money saved by combining events. Not the headaches, though. They're missing the point. I've been dreaming about this day since I was a little girl. I don't want to share it with anyone, especially not my sister, who's always overshadowed me. I want to be the center of attention for once. My parents don't seem to understand the importance of this to me. My partner tries to be supportive but struggles to understand the depth of my feelings. Thinks I'm being overly dramatic and should just be happy for my sister. I'm sure you would be happy for your sister if it didn't pan out like this. If she picked a day that was even, you know, the next weekend, the next month or something, but she chose to pick a day that's supposed to be yours. It's spiteful what she did. He says it's just a day, but to me, it's a lifelong dream. It's not just a day. It's important. I don't like that he's not backing you up on this. I'm not gonna lie. Sounds like a pushover. Let's go! Despite my explanation, he seems more worried about not rocking the family boat. Rock it, baby girl. We will rock it. He wants to keep everyone happy, but I don't think he understands how hurt and overlooked I feel. You are absolutely valid in your feelings. Ooh, we have an update. Wow, things have escalated. After the whole wedding day debacle, my family seems to be taking sides. Several relatives have now chosen to drop out of my wedding and attend my sister's instead. Good! Sayonara! Even my maid of honor, the person who's been by my side through all my wedding planning, has decided to be a bridesmaid at my sister's wedding. Bye! See ya. Anyone who does that, that's nuts. If you were planning your wedding first and then they swap, absolutely not. This feels like a slap in the face. It's not just a date conflict anymore. It feels like an attack on everything I had planned and hoped for. Now my wedding feels like it's falling apart. Elope, babes. Time to make some new friends. I know about 2.1 million people who'd love to come to your wedding. All the planning, the careful choices, the dreams for the perfect day, they're crumbling. My family support has vanished and my closest friend, my maid of honor, has turned on me. My fiance keeps trying to soothe me, saying it's not the end of the world, but he doesn't get it. He doesn't see how betrayed I feel. How every happy memory I plan to make my wedding day is being overshadowed by hurt and disappointment. Okay, so game plan here. I think you wait to see just exactly who drops out. You already spent the money too. I'm trying to figure out, like, do you elope? Do you take that money that you would have spent on a really insane wedding? You might have to bite the bullet. Honestly, it's terrible. I would hate losing that money too. I don't know. Like, at this point, it's almost like I would feel so hurt. I would just want to run away and have the best elopement and honeymoon ever. And my sister, she keeps talking about how perfect her happy accident of a wedding is going to be. She acts like she's the star of a fairy tale and I'm just in the way. She doesn't seem to care that my family's abandoning me and my wedding is crumbling. She enjoys the attention, relishing the spotlight, and it's driving me insane. And the worst part is people are rallying around her, congratulating her, telling her how wonderful everything is. Meanwhile, my feelings and dreams are dismissed. Another update. Things have gone from bad to worse. Not only has my family sided with my sister, but now some extended family members have started commenting on social media, calling me selfish and dramatic for not letting my sister have the wedding on the same date. What the f? I'm sorry, if you picked that wedding date first, that's your wedding date. Finders keepers. I can't believe this is happening. My special day is being ruined, and now people are turning on me for standing up for what I want. It's infuriating. My partner, my fiance, has been a constant source of frustration throughout this ordeal. Ooh, I don't like that. He claims he wants to support me, but every time I express my disappointment or anger, he calls me overdramatic. He tells me to get over it and move on, like I'm just being silly for caring so much. Your fiance sounds like a pushover to me. Weak. When I tell you we are going to war, we are going to war. He keeps saying it's not that big of a deal because we have our whole lives together afterwards. But it's not just about the date. It's about feeling like an afterthought and my own sister is stealing my moment. This is very clearly about trauma from childhood. To somebody else, you might be like, oh, well, why don't we just share the day? It's fine. It's not about, well, it is about that, but it's mostly about how you have felt your whole life with regards to your sister. So sorry this is happening, bestie. You deserve your own day. You do. I don't know. This is tough. As for my sister's husband-to-be, he seems completely clueless about the drama unfolding around him. He's more focused on his own interests and doesn't seem to see the impact his fiance's actions are having. He's blissfully unaware, going about his day while our family is at each other's throats because of his bride-to-be's decision. It's almost as if he's living in a bubble, ignorant of the storm he has unknowingly contributed to. So are you the a-hole for refusing to share a wedding day with my sister? You're absolutely not the a-hole. Sorry, not sorry. To people who are just like, you did a wedding, blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's an important day of your life. Set passwords with every vendor and not the a-hole. I'm glad I'm not alone on this. I understand she's not the a-hole. I just don't really know what to do to advise her in this situation. This, and can you talk to her partner? They may not know your sister is discussing all these plans. Absolutely not the a-hole. Okay, so interesting take in the comments. It's almost as if she wants to merge the wedding so the sister gets her wedding for free or to save costs. It's interesting that your parents are like, oh, it'll be so much cheaper. Maybe that's what she said to your parents as a way to get them on her side, because it's like, oh yeah, like we're gonna save money. What if you don't want to save money? If that's something you want to spend your money on, then go for it. You're 27 and about to marry the love of your life. Stop stressing over the wrong things. Forget about your sister and those who won't come to your wedding. Concentrate on planning your big day and be happy. Redirect your energy toward those who are there to support you and your soon-to-be husband. In a time like this, you quickly shift to like, who isn't supporting me? You could also focus on the people who are there to support you. After the wedding, cut off contact with your parents and family members who backed your sister's nonsense. Like, I'm sorry, you had that wedding day first. Everyone who initially agreed to be at your wedding, like the fact that they're even forced in a situation where it's like, I like her more. Like, shut the f You agreed to OP's wedding first. You can't just now switch. I highly doubt that this sister in this scenario has like put down deposits on everything. I do agree with everyone that maybe she's trying to use this as a way to piggyback on someone else's wedding to not have to pay for much else. So maybe call her on her bluff if that's the case. Don't share the wedding, don't share the vendors, don't share the money. Let's see if she can go ahead with this wedding on her own. I'd never speak to my sister or any family member that supports her again. She would be dead to me. You got time to make friends, baby girl. You are? Not the a-hole. Keep us updated, will ya? Subscribe!